Okay, game 2 of the Edric versus Teysa match. This game, quite a bit more interesting and epic than the last one, and that's actually the reason why I recorded this whole series. Of course, my opponent's going first. He told me about he said, just testing the beta. This is awful, LOL. I do have to agree. I can't stand the beta client right now either. Part of it, I think, is just because it's different from the current one, which I'm very used to, but also because I feel like it has a bunch of annoying, quote-unquote, improvements that don't make it really a lot better. I think it'll probably get better as I get more used to it, but for the time being, I'm going to stick to the old client, at least until we have to use the new beta one. Anyway, I have to mulligan my first hand. It was garbage. I go to 6. Pretty good draw, both colors. Man Accelerator guy. I haven't really seen too much of his deck, other than that it's Teysa based. Yep, that's true. So here we go. He casts Wayfarer, which is pretty weak against my deck, so I'm not too concerned about it. We're just going to see what happens here. But he plays Mortar Pod, which is kind of a nightmare for me, honestly, given how many mana creatures I have.
Is that the black cauldron? You know that yellow thing? Is that the yellow black cauldron?
No, it's not the Black Cauldron. It's actually just in the Magic game. Sorry. Desmond was asking about the Mortar Pod. Anyway, but him dropping this thing on the playfield and having the ability to just kill my Boreal Druid changes how I care about Wayfarer, so I decided to just block and kill it. Figuring that he's welcome to kill Coiling Oracle, and he can't kill either of these guys with it, so. And I whiff on the Oracle, as I always do. I don't think I think my odds of hitting a land with this guy, or at least my record, is like 1 in 10 or something. Seems like I'd never get land with it. It's obnoxious. So here is Teysa. So we do draw a land at least, although not a particularly good one. We got to get this guy out on the board to armor up my creature. So I think it would have been reasonable for him to just pot away the Coiling Oracle right then, given that he would get a white spirit token to use, and also would deny me the 2 mana off the Druid, but he didn't do that. Sorry, phone call. I'm just going to pause real quick. Okay, here we go again. So he plays this Cartel Aristocrat thing. Just black-white creature. Just going to take the damage. I thought about double blocking here, but he could kind of wreck my board. And I really need the mana right now, given that I only have 3 land. There's a 4th one, though. So play the Ledgewalker. Cast Arayo. And right now my plan actually was with these 2 cards, given that I've got the Druid in play, which protects me from the Mortar Pod, what I'd like to do is double Skull Clamp. If I start double Skull Clamping stuff, I'm going to get ahead, so far ahead that kind of no matter what he does, he's not going to be able to compete. And I want to just build up to Cyclonic Rift to wait to get it and unsummon his whole board once he's got a bunch of tokens out. I cast Edric, and he decides it's time to blow up his token. That allows me to get in for 2 here, which he lets me do, and I draw Sylvan. Cast Ranger of Eos. Pretty good card in a Teysa deck, and he gets this combo right here, which unfortunately I haven't played against Teysa enough, I think, to recognize just how deadly these 2 cards are together, because you'll see why that matters in a second here. I draw Spike Tail. So time to do that. I actually thought about just clamping my guy right off the bat, just to get 2, because it saves me mana, but actually this works out better. So I double clamp this guy, draw 4, and there's Force of Will, which makes the Carrion Feeder a lot less dangerous. So I cast Priest of Titania. Plenty of mana next turn. Really, really good hand at this point. And I'm really, really thinking Winter Orb, actually. Winter Orb, Jitte, probably, to just try to lock him up. And he casts the Feeder, and I'm just an idiot. I don't know why I didn't force a will here. Just completely a horrible misplay. The spiketail hatching is all but useless anyway. And other than maybe a skull clamp outlet, it's pretty useless. But considering what he's going to be able to do with Carrion Feeder, the synergy of these 3 cards together makes this game a lot bigger struggle than it needs to be. And as soon as he starts doing this, I'm like, oh my god, what did I just do? So get my island. Cast Jitte, equip. That at least gets some white creatures off the board. And now I've got to just do this. As uncomfortable as this is, given the circumstances, I have to put Winter Orb out. And think about it doing some skull clamping shenanigans on one of these guys in case he decides he wants to remove it during his turn. But then I reread this creature, or reread the card and realized that it's exiling, so it doesn't even trigger skull clamp. So there's no reason to waste my mana on that. So he just sends his whole squad in against me, which I'm actually quite happy to have him do. And then he casts Path of Exile, or Path to Exile on Edric, I think. Oh no, on the Archdruid, which I definitely need for mana, so I have no choice but to Force a Will that. He gets more guys out. This is looking really, really bad now. All I've got is Sylvan, and I'm only at 22. And he's got reusable creature manufacture as well as exiling. Pretty grim situation. The only thing that's keeping me in the game at this point is Winter Orb. So I draw into the Royal, which is kind of interesting. Mainly it's a way to deal with the Carrion Feeder. Between that and the Jitte, if I'm able to get just the right situation engineered, I can unsummon the Carrion Feeder, and if I've got a fair amount of counters on the Jitte, I can kill it off. Because I got to get that thing into the graveyard because I was a moron and I didn't Force a Will it. So I equip Edric with Jitte, cast Sylvan, send in Edric to go to get more counters. And one of the last 2 cards in his hand is Condemn. Oh, so brutal. I'm honestly more concerned about the fact that I don't get counters on the Jitte than I am about Edric being buried. Because I've got Sylvan out, I've got Skull Clamp, so I've got alternate draw conditions in the deck. Oh, gotta pause again. Sorry. Okay, back to it again. So, ultimately, I think for a little while about Into the Roiling my own guy to protect it, but this situation is so far gone anyway. And the only way I'm really winning this game is if I'm able to kill Carrion Feeder somehow. Fortunately, the Orb makes the Carrion Feeder a lot weaker. So, I just have to let Edric die. And I just double clamp my Priestess now just to get some more cards, and it works. The bluff works. Basically, I decided I was going to double clamp and hope that he got greedy and didn't let me draw 4. And it does work. So now the Carrion Feeder is quite a bit less dangerous, and I can unsummon it. And he sacks his little doofus again to get another creature. Bogs me needlessly. So in response to him replaying the Carrion Feeder, I strip more counters off the Jitte. And look at this. Drops him down to just 1 guy. And suddenly I have a way to kill Carrion Feeder, like his whole board just disintegrated. And I've got Sylvan out and I'm still at 23 with a Jitte in play. So I get Memnite and Perfect, which of course I keep. And he lets me kill it. I guess he had the option to keep the thing alive, although that probably wasn't a long-term prospect. But I've gotten Carrion Feeder off the board, and he's got just 2 guys in play now. So I equip my Memnite. And he just pops my guy and attacks before I can block. But I'm honestly kind of liking my chances now. He's completely tapped out. I've got Sylvan in play. I'm still at 13. And wait till you see what I pick up here. Oh, lordy. Garrick, negate, Mana Crypt. Once again, we're going to throw out the Mana Crypt at very little life, because it's the only way to win the game. cast Garrick, and make a guy. He's only got 1 mana untapped. He can't even attack me. I win the flip, which is very fortunate. There's the negate again. Gaia's Cradle and a land. I take another 4 and go to 4. Play the Cradle, make a beast, equip, attack. Counters are on the Jitte. And I've got negate to protect it. He just untaps a land. And I just gain life at the end of the turn in case he's got some weird instant shenanigans to combine with a hit off the mana crypt to kill me. And I do lose the flip there, so I'm at 3. So I would be at 1. And I don't know if he's got like a... I'm not really sure what he'd do. Can you stop doing that for 1 second? I'm just recording something. Alright, well that beeping is Desmond playing with a timer in the background. We'll get this over with quickly. So off the Sylvan I get land, Predator, and Counterspell. And I can untap my land, cast Perfect, and double clamp it. And I strip mine his land, and facing down Jitte Beast, and only 1 land in play, and me with plenty of life now. My opponent scoops it up on him, turn 11, to end an awesome game with an awesome comeback. I'm sorry I didn't have more in-depth commentary about this, but there's just too many distractions in the background, as you might imagine. Hope you enjoyed the series. More to come.